Hello everybody and welcome to this mod video, I guess, based upon the current Skyrim series which I have on my channel. A lot of you have been asking about this for a while, what mods I'm using, and I've always kind of done this, especially on big series where I've just gone through and talked about the mods I'm using, why I'm using them, etc, etc. If we go back to the beginning, I guess, if you don't know what mods are, they are essentially fan-made content for different games. Many games have mods. I guess in a way the Bethesda games, Fallout, Skyrim, etc., the older Elder Scroll games, are probably some of the best known games for mods because, well, I don't know really, I guess because they've been, I guess maybe it's something to do with the fact that they always kind of show up a bit broken and people probably take it upon themselves to add stuff, and there's obviously a big audience for things like that. But playing the vanilla Skyrim, so in other words the Skyrim you just purchase from wherever, and playing it with mods is quite a different experience. If you're playing on console, I think Xbox you can download mods. I'm not sure about the PlayStation though, to be honest with you. I don't think PlayStation does allow you currently, or there's some restrictions, something like that. But I play on PC, which is really the biggest kind of market, I guess, for mods. You can have the most mods, you can do the most stuff with the game. A lot of the stuff which you'll find on the Xbox marketplace will be, you know, smaller mods rather than quite game-changing ones, I'd say, which is fine. You know, they still are very good, and I have a lot of those already installed. Just as a side note, if you do hear any background noise, I'm currently dog sitting for a couple of dogs. One's a pug, one's a French bulldog. Very cute dogs, and they're both currently just asleep on the sofa. So if they wake up and start running around, which they probably won't, because we just went out for a nice long walk, and yeah, just in case. You might also hear them snoring a little bit in the background, but we'll see. If you are playing on PC and you want to know where to go for mods, how to mod, etc, etc, I will stress and say it's a pretty simple process to actually kind of get through it once you have a fair idea of it. The website I use is the Nexus Mods, which I think, to be fair, is probably the one that pretty much everybody uses. You can see they have over 751 games. We can kind of go to it here, and you can see that these are the ones, and you can see in Skyrim they have 60, so this is the original Skyrim, they have 61,000 mods. Special edition they have 19.2, so there's way more mods for the original Skyrim. But I would say if you were going to mod Skyrim, probably go for the special edition, because to cut a long story short, there was problems more with the engine of the original Skyrim, which you kind of had to work around. You had more crashes, I found personally, than you do with the current special edition, which makes better use of modern hardware. But you can see there's lots and lots of games out there which you can find mods for. A lot of them are just little skins or little things, and some of them are a lot grander. Definitely the Bethesda games, as I said, are the most popular, and some of them have some fantastic mods which we will go through. If you want to know about how to download it, the little bits and bobs that you go into it, Nexus provide the Nexus Mod Manager, which I found to be very good, which will, you know, you basically, when you choose a mod, if we go to Skyrim Special Edition, say for example, I wanted Enhanced Solitude SSE, so this would be obviously be like a makeover of Solitude, sorry. God, I hope that's not going to play noisily. But anyway, you can just download it with the mod manager, and it will essentially kind of sort itself out ish. You may have to kind of play with a few bits and bobs and stuff like that, but usually the creator of the mods will usually have a lot of info about how to install it, etc, etc. There's a YouTuber called Gopher who's very good. He has some very good videos on mods, how to install them, and that's essentially where I learned how to do it. Sometimes it can be quite a long process, especially downloading all the mods. They can be quite large. I recommend kind of supporting Nexus mods, and it allows you to have faster download speeds. Also, I recommend trying to support mods where you can. Obviously, you have the money, the mod authors, because they put a lot of work in, and these are free. You don't pay a penny for any of these unless you donate, basically. So bear that in mind. Yeah, so if you want to know, it can be quite time consuming. Sometimes it can be quite frustrating, especially if you are trying to mod, and you have to figure out which mod it is that's causing a problem. You know, it might be causing your game to crash, or might be causing a problem. Can be a bit frustrating, but it generally, once you get an idea for things, you get an idea for things. So yeah, without further ado, let's go through and have a look at what we've got. So currently I have 204 mods installed, of which 187 are active. We'll try and go through as many as possible. Some of them will be pretty quick. Some of them might be a bit longer. These usually have sometimes they have little things on here we can have a look at, and sometimes they don't. This first one is Zim's Immersive Artifacts. This is based around the legendary artifacts that you come across, and them kind of being a little bit underpowered, essentially. As he puts here, Drake's immersion, the Oriel's bow, for example, created by God with craftsmanship, that's said to have no equal, but it's less effective than a glass bow, and its enchantment is mediocre. The weapon of a god shouldn't be so mundane. I kind of agree. So install this, and it kind of tweaks the different ones. So you've got Oriel's bow and shield, the blade of woe, bloodscale blade, chill rend, all those types of things, because they can be a little bit mediocre, to be honest with you. There's some which are pretty good, but yeah. XP32 maximum skeleton extended. This is about the kind of body's skeleton, so physics of it and everything like that. You need it to install some other stuff that goes on. So yeah, it's not necessarily going to do a huge amount on its own, but it's required for some other mods which we'll come across. So Winterhold, it's just an overhaul for kind of Winterhold. Is there something to do with The Witcher there as well that I see? Maybe there is, I don't know. But yeah, just there you go, little overhaul for Winterhold. Winter is coming, special edition cloaks. So this adds cloaks and like furs and stuff like that. To, you see there's lots of different cloaks, even armoured like hoods and stuff like that for you. Helps with a little bit of immersion. Does help if you are running Frostfall, because that helps with the how warm your character will stay. Next one's an interesting one I hadn't used before. It's called Wildcat Combat of Skyrim. So this actually changes up the combat style in Skyrim. It's based a lot around injuries, so you can injure people, and then those injuries don't go away until you're back to full health. You can kind of interrupt like bows and magic. You can the AI has much better improved combat. Combat's much more dangerous, so you do more damage, but also your opponents do more damage. So it's not just a case of like you're standing there just whacking someone with a sword over and over again, like it's some sort of like, you know, foam like sword. It actually, you know, you can take people out in like 1 or 2 hits, but the same way they can do the same for you. So you have to think about blocking and all that kind of stuff, basically. Yeah. So as it says here, speeds up combat by allowing player to inflict and receive more damage, essentially, and makes the AI a lot smarter as well. They'll be using potions and things like that as well. So I wanted something to just change up the combat a little bit in Skyrim, because obviously it can be a little bit repetitive sometimes. I die a fair amount in the series, but that's kind of cool, because you know, you have to think about things. You can't just charge in and, you know, wail away at somebody and then drink loads of potions. All that kind of stuff doesn't really work. Immersive character overhaul is kind of as it suggests, which is that has Witcher, everything has Witcher 3 stuff in it. I noticed that. Yeah, oh god, there's a but there. Yeah, so it basically overhauls a lot of the way people look and stuff like that, really. So you know, Bethesda have always seemed to. I think Fallout 4 is actually not too bad, but a lot of the time with Bethesda games, they seem to really struggle with kind of like people for some reason. I don't really know why, but this just kind of tidies everything up. Allows you to create a character which actually looks a little bit normal. This one, White Watchtower Reborn. I haven't actually come across this, to tell you the truth. Yet, but adds a camp to White Watchtower, adds a quartermaster, adds guards, adds an officer tent, adds a tower. So it's just a little add-on thing, you know, making the world a little bit more immersive, I guess, and a little bit more going on when you wander around, which is interesting because sometimes that's one of the dogs. When it's interesting because when you kind of wander around, the dog's coming over now. Is gonna whine at me unless I pet her. It's a very needy dog. So wet and cold is kind of as it suggests. It deals with like rain and stuff like that, and getting wet and cold and all this kind of stuff. Works well with like frostfall. I've got it installed, but I'm not really using frostfall, so probably doesn't need to be there actually. Wayfarer's coat, it's a type of armor coat basically. I like to add in lots of different bits of armor and find them interesting and stuff, and all that kind of, you know, weapons and stuff like that. If anything, just to make the NPCs like a bit more interesting, you know. And let's have a look at this one actually. I think if we Wayfarer's coat, no, that's just like the thing there. I'm trying to see if it has an image here I can go to. Good one. Okay. Anyway, it's the Wayfarer's coat, and then there seems to be another one. Warzones I did have installed, but hold on one second. Oh, to get the dog up on my lap because it's easier for me to pet. So if you do hear a dog sniffing or snorting, it's just a little French bulldog. Warzones is well, I found I was having a lot of problems with it, so I uninstalled it. But basically it makes like epic battles kind of appearing. If you imagine there's a civil war going on, but you wander around and there's barely ever a battle unless you do the civil war quests. So this just basically adds in battles and things like that across, but I had a lot of problems with people floating, so I uninstalled it. A volcanic crimson glass standalone. So the glass, I never was a big fan of the green kind of glass textures. This one changes it to a kind of like red crimson style, which I think looks a little bit nicer. That's it really. Looks good though, I think. Vivid landscape, so this improves the landscapes of the land. See, it changes mountains, cliffs, creeks, dungeons, ruins, forts. Better quality, better textures, so it looks better from far away and much better when you're up close as well. Violence, a kill move mod, as it says there, gives you in-game control over both ranged and melee kill moves. So you can set the kill move frequency, you can set whether or not enemies can do them, you can set requirements for them, all this kind of stuff. It's quite cool actually, really. I like the kind of kill moves in Skyrim and stuff like that. I think they're good. Verdant is a grass mod. Some of these mods are very intensive upon your computer, so you have to be careful. Things like Violence, for example, or the Crimson Glass Standalone, they won't affect how your game runs in any way, because they're just literally a retexture of something or a little tweak. But some things like Verdant, for example, will really can really hurt your performance. It does have performance options that you can do, and basically it just makes the grass look really lush, and you can see that if you watch any of my series. The grass in there does look really good. There's a little patch there as well. Certain mods might need little patches to work with other mods. But it will mention that in the description when you choose it. The unofficial Skyrim patch is an essential patch, I think, for anyone, because it just solves loads of bugs, basically. Like loads and loads of bugs, so that's kind of cool. Uniques changes up some of the unique weapons, in a similar way to we saw with Zim's immersive artifacts. Unique Uniques does, well, the ones listed here basically just changes up, makes them look unique, because they should be unique, and it's really cool. I've used this one quite a lot. It's a very cool mod. Undeath Remastered is a quest mod, so you can actually get whole quest line mods added into the game. This one is about a necromancer. I really look forward to playing this. I haven't played it before, so I think it should be pretty cool. I don't know how it starts up actually. I'll have to kind of look that up. Oh, how do I start? Okay, when you reach level 30 or higher. So that's a slightly later one, but I look forward to that. I can't remember what level I am now, but it'd be pretty cool. Ultimate Noble Beds, so that's just textures for beds and making them look nicer. SKYRIM Riverwood is about an add-on for JK's Riverwood, which basically makes Riverwood look really nice. You can see in my game, if you watch the videos, you'll see that Riverwood looks very different. It's still very similar, but there's a lot more going on in there. True Storms, I really like this mod. So it overhauls the storms and get new sound effects and particle effects, and everything just feels like a storm a little bit better. Get fog and all this kind of stuff, so it's kind of cool. True Eyes, how many have we got left? But oh my god. I don't even know if I want to skip any. True Eyes, basically it's a retexture for eyes. Notice board I really like actually. That's what I've been using a lot in the game. It adds little bounties and like gather stuff, and these little kind of quests in there as well. Rescue a citizen or slay beasts and stuff like that. Yeah, and I think it's really, really cool to do that. It helps with the kind of role playing as well. Definitely. So I recommend the notice board if you're after something a little bit more different. Oh, here we go. Sometimes you will see mercenaries viewing the notice board, one leader, one companion. It means they go into a dungeon to kill a leader bandit. You can go with them if you want, or if you speak to the leader, you can offer your help. So to help mercenary, the new quest will start if you kill the bandit and the leader mercenary survives. He'll give you a reward in gold. The quest fails. Oh, that's cool. Okay. That's really cool, actually. I didn't know that. Forgotten City is a brilliant quest line. I probably won't play it. I think this is left over from other builds. I have played through it before. It was a really, really good mod. They're actually making a standalone game for it soon, which I think will look really nice. So, yeah, that's really cool. Terrain LOD redone. This is about the way your terrain loads into the game, basically. If you want to avoid stuff like this, because it can get quite complicated and you have to play around with ini files and stuff like that, you can just skip it. But yeah, and also it's very intensive on your computer because it basically makes things load farther away. The Talos Housecarl armor pack, so it's an armor pack essentially. Subskirt surface scattering shaders for skins. I think you can kind of understand what that is. Storefront. Oh, okay. I think this is a little thing which adds in like, yeah, your spouse will operate a store from the market area in the city you're currently living in. Your spouse will man this store during the normal daylight hours and return home at night, and you can collect profits. So in other words, your wife runs a shop if you marry someone. Sim or Simim, a static mesh improvement mod, is a really, really good mod. He basically redoes not just textures but the actual entire models on a lot of things. So things like barrels and ropes and stuff like that just look so much better with this mod. Yeah, it's very it's a big old file, but it's really good. Yeah, very highly recommended for that one. Song of the Green is a follower. I don't want to ruin too many things with the followers because they might be coming through. Solitude Docs adds in Solitude Docs. Kind of see on the pictures here, which is quite nice, or redoes them basically. Yeah, so as he says here, it just basically adds in stuff. Sophia is a follower who we're currently using. Sky UI is a revamp of the Skyrim inventory management and just menus, because they were never very good, were they, really? So SkyUI just makes it way better, much more fun to use. You have to install something called SKSE, which is here. That's where I load the game from, but it will tell you all about that in the description for like SkyUI. Some other mods might require it as well, so it's quite important. Sky Test is about realistic animals. You may notice wolves act a little bit differently in the game. Other animals will as well. They might run away a lot more, stuff like that. That mod basically plays around with it. Skyrim is windy. It makes it windy. Immersive creatures adds in dozens of new creatures, yeah, which is cool. I like that. New things to kill. Skyrim Flora Overhaul. You notice that a lot of the plants and things like that look differently in the game. That's down to not only this mod, but also some other mods I've got. Just freshens the game up, I think. If you've played the game as much as I have for hundreds and hundreds of hours, then it's nice for things to look a little bit different. Better roads is basically retexture of roads. 3D trees and plants, again, trees and plants, changes them. Skyforge weapons, so it adds actual weapons from the Skyforge. It always felt like the Skyforge was very underused, so it kind of redoes them, new textures, etc., stuff like that. So that's cool. Sky birds, it has lots of birds flying around, which is very cool. Bigger trees, I think that's really self-explanatory. Shorestone adds in a settlement, or adds in an expansion for the village of Shorestone as well. Saranaholic is a kind of overhaul of Sarana, so she looks a little bit better. Rustic soul gems changes the way that the soul gems looks. They're not quite as shiny. Oh, Martha, why are you whining? Rustic clutter collection, again, as you can see, changes up textures on things, makes like clothing look better. Oh, sorry, that's rustic clothing. Rustic clutter changes up the way that stuff looks. It looks really nice, to be fair. Run for Your Lives makes citizens run indoors during a dragon or vampire attack, so they don't just get murdered, which is quite nice. Ragnarok is a texture mod for rugs. I like the name. You've got a children overhaul, which makes the kids look different, because they always looked a bit derpy in my opinion. Reverb and ambience overhaul changes slightly the sound, especially kind of indoors and stuff like that. Relationship dialogue overhaul changes dialogue. Red and silver elven weapons, so changes the colour of elven stuff. I'd never really liked the gold, so I kind of changed it to like red and silver. Realistic water changes the way the water looks. The water looks amazing, I will say. Realistic lighting overhaul changes the way the lighting looks. Oh, Martha, you keep falling over. Realistic horse breeds. So, yeah, you've got different horses basically. Realistic conversations. So yeah, it makes them actually talk properly. Realistic aspen trees, again, you can imagine what that is. Realistic animation project, so making their movement and their idle animations a little bit better. Real Daedric artifacts, so changes up the Daedric artifacts so that they don't need to be recharged with a soul gem, which doesn't really make much sense. So they're just incredibly strong, which they should be, to be fair. You go through a whole quest for most of them to get it, and then they're pretty underpowered, so I think it works all right. Provincial courier service, you may have seen this, there's actually a place where the couriers go from now. Point the way is the road signs actually point the correct way to places, so you can actually follow them a little bit better. Perfect Legionnaire is a texture overhaul for Legionnaire armor. Peltapalooza is a texture overhaul for the pelts. PC head tracking and voice type, so this actually makes people look at you and when they're talking to you, which is actually quite immersive, and when you actually have it actually works quite well. Ordinator, perks of Skyrim, this changes up the perks, which I really like, because again it just makes it like a different playthrough, because you're not just like, oh well, I'll choose this perk because it's good, I'll choose this perk. It actually feels like you're playing a new game, so that's really good. There are a few different overhauls you can get. I chose to go for this one, try it out. Obsidian Weathers, yeah, it's another weather mod again, really nice. Obis, this one I've been using quite a lot, which is Organised Bandits in Skyrim. So it adds in a variety of bandits throughout the game world. Each of the bandits are separated in many different types that make every encounter with bandits both challenging and fun. All bandits are balanced to have both strengths and that players must overcome, and weaknesses that players can exploit. A new 3-volume book, The Book of Bandits, distributed throughout the world. The book will give you basic lore-friendly-ish look into the bandits' reason why they're working together. Okay, so it's cool. So yeah, adds loads of new bandits in, which is good for my kind of role-play playthrough. Northbourne Fur Hoods. It's Fur Hoods. Nordic Snow, it's a snow texture. No snow under roofs, so that kind of making that look a little bit realistic, I guess. Nilfgaardian Armour. That's Yennefer's armour, which you may notice Sophia's kind of wearing, because it just kind of looks cool. Skyrim Overhaul Magic Edition, so overhauling the magic stuff. Morthal Overhaul, so changing the way Morthal looks. More weapons, please, so adds in lots of weapons. More tavern idols, so the animations people have in taverns, the just making them a little bit more interesting. The brawl bug fix, so brawls should be fixed. Man those borders, so this is about having borders around the world where you know, there are actually soldiers on the board and stuff like that. You'll notice that if you watch the playthrough. It just feels a little bit more natural, I think. Majestic Mountains is a texture overhaul for mountains. No idea actually what Magiska is. Magical College of Winterhold. So there are some cutting room floor stuff, which is like content that was cut from Skyrim but was still kind of in the original game, like in game files, but people then kind of like polished it up and tweaked it and then added it in, so it's kind of like original content, but it's also kind of what was in the game originally a little bit, which is really good, I think. So no Dragonborn crafting stations. I don't know what that is. Lore weapon expansion, so that adds in loads of new weapons. You say I love like extra weapons. Oh, Lean Wolf's better shaped weapons. Basically, it just, instead of you have the WoW style foam paddles that look more realistic like weapons, yeah. So especially like the elven weapons are terrible for that. Lanterns of Skyrim, so you actually have lanterns around. You can see covers settlements, places like that. Landscape fixes for grass mods. I mean, that does what it says. Kinesgrove, so this Kinesgrove is yeah, kind of revamped a little bit. There's a hairdo mod, so it adds in KS hairdos, which adds in like loads of hairstyles for people, makes it look a little bit more interesting. You've got Kato's Falkrith, adds in this dog, yeah, it changes up Falkrith basically. There's loads of places basically. There's loads we do. Katana crafting, so you can actually craft katanas. You can make them from all the different types, even a dragonbone one, which is cool because everybody loves a katana. Karthvaston or Karthwaston, I don't even know what it's called, revamp. And JK's is probably the most famous example of it. He does a lot for Riverwood, Whiterun, and all the places. Iverstead, yep, again, revamp of a settlement. Iron things is like textures for irons. They look really nice actually. It's just a shame iron is so crap, but it does look good. Incredible. This revamps the inside of all the inns, making them look a little bit unique. What's up, Martha? Martha is a French bulldog, and she is the neediest dog you will ever meet. And she has decided that she demands to be petted right now, or else she's going to moan. I guess you know I'm recording, don't you, Martha? Yeah, changes up the look inside of, makes them a bit more unique, which I think is really nice. Inigo, a lot of people know about Inigo. He's a follower on there. I don't plan on using Inigo for this particular playthrough, but it's nice to know he's there. I need is a food, water and sleep like survival type mod. I am using this, so it means you need to eat, you need to drink and you need to sleep, and there's penalties if you don't do that. I just like it because I just think it adds a nicer element to it. I always feel like games which have like food and drink and then there's no real penalty for not eating or drinking is a bit weird. And the whole thing with Skyrim where it's like it restores health, you know, so you eat like 17 cabbages in the middle of combat just to, you know, it was just weird. So they don't restore health or anything, but you need to eat and drink or else you do get penalties, and you need to sleep, which the sleep thing is probably the most important because you can always have food on you, or you can find food. It's pretty much in abundance, but you know, finding somewhere to sleep can be difficult sometimes, especially if you're in the middle of a dungeon. So that can, you then have to kind of manage that a little bit. Improved dragon masks. So yeah, it basically changes them up, makes them better, and yeah, that's cool. These are some clothes replacers. You can kind of see here. Look quite nice. Again, yeah, that one. Immersive weapons adds in more weapons. Just loads of weapons. Immersive sounds adds in more sounds. Immersive citizens adds in citizens doing things a little bit better than they normally would do. Immersive armor adds in new armors. This is a very good mod actually. Immersive armors adds in some really nice ones. Oh god. Heaven's aesthetics beards. It adds in beards. Hoth is a follower. Hold border banners. So at the borders of the holds, they're now banners showing you kind of which hold you're going into, which I think is a really nice little touch. Herds. So you get herds of stuff, animals. Helgen Reborn is a really good quest line actually. I think I've done it off camera, but I don't think I've done it on camera, so I might do that. Where basically you rebuild Helgen after it gets destroyed. It's a really good quest line actually. I'll probably do it in this playthrough. But you need to probably leave it a little bit, you know, or else it doesn't feel quite right. Someone turns up the next day and tries to rebuild Helgen. Hellerchin Creek is a village in the mountains southeast of the city of Dawnstar. Haven't been there, couldn't tell you what it's like, but yeah. HD road signs, so it improves the way the road signs looks. You going down like that? Ooh. Greater Scal Village, so the way the village looks. Gilder Green regrows once you do that whole quest line. Frostfall. I'm not using Frostfall, but it is installed. I just haven't activated it. So it's essentially a hypothermia camping survival sim. So the cold will kill you. So you have to kind of manage that. The reason I'm not using it in this playthrough is just because I've used it a lot, and I wanted to I don't know, have a little bit more freedom about where we're going than before, not have to think too much about what I'm taking with me and casting spells and all that kind of stuff basically. So yeah. Forge New Idols is an idol kind of behavior system, so different poses, sequence, arm offset on furniture, kill moves, etc. Footprints adds footprints to player, NPC and creatures. How much have we got left? Holy crap. Okay, not too much. Font overhaul, so it changes the font look of the game, which I again like. If you've played Skyrim a lot, you see that font over and over and over again. Normal iNormal map fix. Oh, this is a patch for the iMod. Ethereal clouds, changes the way the clouds look. Enhanced texture details. Yeah, adds textures. Enhanced character edit. Again, you can now do extra things on your character to either make them look hideous or look really good. Enhanced blood textures makes the blood look really nice. Elysium Estate adds in a estate that you can get outside Whiterun. We have walked past it, but what is that dog doing? I don't know. But yeah, we can get that basically. There's a key for it and stuff like that, but I don't know, it doesn't feel right unless there's you buy it or get a quest, so it doesn't feel that immersive, but I quite like it just being there. Village expansion for Dragon Bridge, diverse dragons, so it adds in different dragons. Distinct interiors for shops, homes, miscellaneous inns, guilds, so yeah, kind of cool. Distinct husbands, wow, there you go. I did install Depths of Sky, which is a new mod, but I uninstalled it. I can't remember why, but I did. But that adds stuff underwater, which is kind of cool. But I don't know. I don't think it worked properly, or it was crashing a lot, so I didn't use it. This is some armor, which looks really flipping cool, actually, to be fair. I more kind of download some of these armors because I want to come up against people who are wearing them rather than me wearing them, if that makes sense. Because I think it'd be cool to come up against somebody with that sword and that armor. That would just look awesome. Dawnstar mod, we have Dark Water Crossing, again, expansion for that. Cutting Room Floor. So this is stuff, obviously, as I said, that Bethesda either kind of cut from the game or didn't quite finish, and then they've kind of finished it up, polished it up, and then restored it into the game, which is kind of cool. Because it happens in every game where people, developers just don't always have enough time to do every single thing they want to do, and sometimes they'll leave the code for it in the game, and that's essentially what happened. So yeah, it's kind of cool. Clothian Noble Clothes. So these are new clothes. I swear we've seen this one before. I don't know how many different ones they've got. I think it's the same pictures, but they do different things. So Clothian Fur Armor outfit we've seen, which is actually a really nice outfit, although it's a bit pants, but it does look good. Cloaks of Skyrim, more cloaks. Campfire is a camping system. Works very well with Frostfall, but you can use it anyway. And what's quite nice is if you want to camp out, because I'm still need sleep, making my own camp is still quite useful, so I've kind of left that in. Calente's Beautiful Bodies Enhancer changes the way women's bodies look a little bit, so that they look a little bit more normal, if that makes sense. You can do it so that they go nude. However, I chose not to do that because obviously I'm showing on YouTube, so there is a preset to have them still wear underwear, which I've done. But if you really want to have nude bodies, you can have nude bodies. It's there for you. Book covers. I really like this because the original kind of book covers were just so boring, like all of them were the same, but this actually kind of changes things up, which is really nice. Blowing in the Wind enables signs and hanging lanterns to react to wind. Yes, that's right. Blended roads. Yeah, as it said, the road textures blend a little bit better. These Bjin mods are kind of facial makeovers for the women of Skyrim. So NPCs, you can see the War Maidens one does all of the Jarl, the Housecarl, sorry, and some of the other ladies as well. You see there, but yeah, that's kind of cool. Beyond Skyrim, Bruma is a whole new area basically, with like mods, with quests and things like that going on. So I will try and play through that as well, because I haven't. They're doing another one as well. I can't remember where it is, but it's another Beyond Skyrim as well, because this went down very well. So I'm really intrigued to have a look at it. And going back to Bruma, which features in Oblivion as well, would be awesome, because we all love Oblivion. Bit of harvesting. I mean, yeah. You no more you just pick up one flower, one mushroom. You'll actually pick up a little bit more, as it is. Belt fastened quivers, so changes it from being upright in the back like that to kind of across your back, which I think is really cool. Beautiful Boats of Skyrim changes the way the boats look. Bandolier is a really cool one, which allows you to add in kind of like holsters and bandoliers and stuff like that, and vial holders and stuff like that, which help with your carry weight as well, which is really cool. And you can craft them yourself. You can find people wearing them. Artifacts, Ice Blade of the Monarch. Yeah, I might have to go on a quest to get this at some point. An enchanted sword that unlocks the power to summon a Frost Monarch. You also find a Stalrim dagger by the name Kravlock and a powerful ebony staff. So everything is obtained through a quest that can be started by travelling to the camp in Pilgrim's Trench. From there you would face some powerful enemies and use a map to locate the Ice Blade. There you go. Sword is offered in both two-handed and one-handed versions. All items are balanced to fit the game. As late game equipment, it can be tempered. Cool. That's cool. Maybe we'll head up there at some point. Ars Metallica, which is a smithing enhancement. Cool. Doing a bit of smithing in this one, so I installed this. Armour of Yingol is gives you a completely new armor set of the ancient lords. Arcane conjurer robes. It's a new set of hooded robes. Andromeda adds, so the standing stones now have different skills things which they grant you, which is nice. As I said, it's not so much maybe that I thought the original ones were bad, it's more a case of I like to mix it up. I like it's mixed up, you know, and it's changed, and it's not the same thing I'm playing all the time, if that makes sense. Amazing follower tweaks. Yeah, again, it's a modified rendition of amazing follower tweaks. So they will ride horses, make camp, avoid traps, ignore friendly fire, etc. Auto relax, which is good. Alternate start, that's a really good one as well if you want to mix things up. It allows you to not just have the vanilla start, you know, the one in the carriage. Everyone loves it. Yeah, so that's cool. Alternate start, again, that's a mod, I think, a LAL extension, I can't remember what that is. And then a quality world map, so it changes the way that the map looks. I've got the paper one. I might change it, I'm not 100% happy with it, but yeah, there you go. So they are the mods I'm using. This is the load order I'm using. As you can see, there's a lot of mods on there. So yeah, I recommend, if you're really interested in it, start off with just a few. If you go to like Skyrim, you can see you can go to, like, say, the most endorsed of all time. You can see these ones, download a few, see how it is, you know, decide what you want to do. There's some really great ones in there, some things which might really appeal to you know, whatever it is you're doing. The only other thing I've got which doesn't feature in there is the ENB I'm using. And ENB basically changes a lot in the game, but it also graphically as well. If I go to mod categories, I think it's got ENB presets. That's a slightly more complicated thing, installing an ENB. It's not that complicated, but you probably best off following a guide rather than me trying to explain it. I can't find where ENB presets are in this now. Presets ENB, there we go. And I think I had a look at this and I went by the last kind of like 30 days. And which one was the one I went with? Okay, it wasn't any of those. I can't remember how I searched it now, but it wasn't one of the normal ones I used, I don't believe. Like Skyrim re-engaged or anything like that. I genuinely can't remember the name of it now, I'm afraid. But you can kind of have a look and see what they do. A lot of them are very similar, a lot of them tweak different things, but a lot of the time they make the game look really good, but they are very intensive on your graphics card, so be aware of that. That is about it, I think. We have all the mods through there that I'm using. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. You know, I'm not an expert at modding, so I can't turn around and be like, hey, yeah, use this mod, not this mod, or whatever. You know, I'm very much an amateur, but I enjoy it. So if it is something you're really looking to get into, you know, there are tutorials on YouTube, really good ones, which will help you to understand, I guess, a little bit more about what you're doing. The most important thing to remember, kind of like with modding, is you're not going to break the game, because the worst case scenario is you just delete it and start again and just reinstall it. That's literally it. Or if I literally am in here and I decide to like unclick this, that means that will no longer run. It's kind of that simple. Or I can go in here and I can just double click on this and it will uninstall the mod from the game. So it's, I wouldn't say it's foolproof, but it's a lot easier nowadays, I think, than it originally was back in the day. But till then, guys, thank you for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.